yeah. Gone on you with the pick and roll. Younger flame, he in sicko mode.
Right then, welcome back to the channel. This video, we're back working on the GTI again, and it's a bit of a continuation from the last video where we did the interior. So not really much left to do now. I've got the windows to fit, and I've got sliders to put in the front windows, and then I've got some custom door cards to make, and then basically put all the interior back together, and then we'll move on to the exterior in the next video. So hopefully this is going to be like a little short video. I'm kind of in a rush to get this done now, so I just want to get everything thrown in, try and video as much as possible, but we'll see what happens. So, I already started making the rear door cards yesterday, so you're going to watch this footage in a minute, but the reason why I'm doing the intro now is because I was so pissed off the other day that I just look unhappy, because the door cards were an absolute nightmare to make. So I'm going to play the footage now. So there we are then, that's my first little mock-up of the rear, and if you're observant, you'll see that it isn't perfect. So the gap here is bigger up there, and the gap down the bottom is bigger than I want. I don't have enough cardboard to recreate another template. I'm just going to make a mental note that this whole bottom side needs like extending, probably like I'd say 20mm. Yeah, 20mm will do. And then when it comes to cutting it out in the alley, well, I'll just grind it shorter. So yeah. Well, that's the template that I've come up with, and like you saw, it needs extending here. So all I'll do is I'll draw the template and then just extend it the whole way along, probably 20mm the whole way along. And then when it comes to fit in the alley, perfect, I'll just do the adjustments with this. Realistically, I should make the cardboard template perfect, but I haven't got enough, and I'm sure I can make it work with the aluminium anyway. So I'm going to transfer that onto that. The top line is the actual template, and the bottom line is where I said I was going to extend it. 20mm. It's quite hard to perfect stuff with the cardboard, I find, so I like to do it with the actual product.
A few moments later.
So after completely failing once, trying to make it perfect, I realised that there's no chance I'm going to get it perfect, and I settled for the original design, which I'm not 100% happy with, but it's going to do for now. So I've got one cut out, and you see it's fitted in there now. I've not got it fitted permanently yet, but that's the shape, and it fits alright. It's not the end of the world that it's not 100% snug. I would have liked to have got it perfect, but that's what happened when I tried to get it perfect. I just completely failed and stamped on it because it pissed me off. It doesn't always go perfectly, and basically the problem is with this is that I'm trying to like sit it behind, like where it sits in. It's hard to explain, but basically it needs to be smaller. You can't get it in. If it's flush, you couldn't get it in, so I had to use a smaller shape and then get it in like that. So that's it. Like I say, I'm not 100% happy with it, but it's in and it looks far better than not having one at all. I was going to paint it, but I think I just can't be arsed. I think just leave it. It's just in it. So it looks alright. It's got a few grind marks at the top from where it was slightly rippled and I ground them out, but yeah, that's one template. Finally, almost 4 hours later, absolutely loads of messing around. I've got them secured in. So I've had an absolute nightmare, but they're finally in. They're all just self-tappered. A few self-tappers in them, and they're actually quite solid. Made those door cards. I wanted them to be perfect. I couldn't get them to be perfect, so in the end I had to settle for it. And then I managed to like wing it, and basically I came up with a new idea at the end. But I didn't really film any of that, so I'll show you the door cards in a minute, and then we'll crack on with everything else. So we're going to leave the front door cards till later. What we're going to focus on first is getting my windows back in. Now, the rears and the boot lid are already cut to shape because they're fine. Well, they're all cut to shape. The only bits that actually need modifying is the fronts, because I've got some sliders to put in. But before I do that, I'm going to focus with the rears and the sides, because I just think that once they're done, it's like a few more things ticked off my list, and they're the easy ones to do. But the problem is, it's not just as simple as fitting them. So what I'm showing you is this black strip around here is the original seal. Obviously the polycarbonate window goes all the way up to the top, and it's see-through and it shows that seal. So when I do put my tiger seal, well, Sikaflex behind it, you're going to see the seal. Now on a standard window, right here, so take this 6N for example, obviously it's got this little black bit here, like that's window, there's a black bit, you can see the divider, and that hides the seal. So what I need to do to the polycarbonate ones is replicate this seal. So from the inside I need to mark off a line, and then I'll just paint it black on the inside, if this makes sense. So I'm going to paint everywhere above my finger black in a more straight line than that, all the way around. And that means that when I fit them like that, you're not going to be able to see the seal. If that makes sense, I don't know, but it'll make sense in a minute because I'm going to show you what I do. So the initial plan was to find some fancy way of getting a perfect line, and then I realised that even if my line is perfect, I'm still going to have to mask it off. So my best bet is to just hold it up against there and mask it while it's on the car. So that's what I'm going to do now. What an appalling job that was. This is what I've come up with. That's my base outline. It's setting a bit further than it needs to be, but it's going to allow me to cover all the sealant up. Obviously all the inside's going to get masked up as well, it's just the outline that's going to get sprayed black. But before I do that, I'm going to make the other side, and then I'll mask them up and we'll paint them. I wish I'd time-lapsed this one because it came out a lot better than that one. On this one I decided to put the tape on and then cut with the Stanley knife. That's a bit rough, but fuck it. And on this one, I did my line and then like curved the tape around. Either way, it's not going to be 100% perfect, but that's going to do for now. Right, it's Wednesday the 24th today, and it is so fucking warm and humid. It's been like 30 degrees today, and inside the unit is awful, and it's also 20 past 10 at night, and look how red I am. I might just be sunburnt, who knows. So the boot lid window's going to need painting as well. The fronts aren't going to need doing. So I'm going to have a look at the boot lid now as well. Come with a plan for that and I'll paint them all at the same time. So now before I get on to painting the rear windows, I'm going to have a look at this boot lid. And the reason for that is because I hate it. Like, I hate the design. I hate the way it sits. I'm proper not happy with it at all. So you'll see on the side, it like overhangs. Mine how dirty it is, I need to clean it. But like, so the curvature of a 9 3 boot lid, you can obviously see it's got mad curvature. It's meant to come down there, and obviously this one doesn't because it's polycarbonate, so it comes flat. You see that it sits flat on there, and then it's got this little overhang. So what I want to do is I want to trim the overhang just so it sits more flush. I hope that doesn't fall. And then what I'll just do is just paint all this bit black. So one thing I need to do is mask off all this black, and another thing I need to do is trim all this so it sits better. I'm just not happy with how it sits at all. I just really dislike it. That blue mark's where I'm going to trim it just because it overhangs too much. I'm going to pack it with sealant at the side anyway, make it nice and smooth, but there's way too much of an overhang on it. So this is on the other side. I'm going to trim that much off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask all this off, take as much sealant off as I can, and just get it all painted black. So that's the window all trimmed up, and it's pretty evident just how much better it sits now. There's a little lip here, and it's just cut to sit on there the whole way through. No silly overhangs, so gonna give all this bit here a good old clean up, get as much off as I can, and then we'll get it ready to paint. So here's my little pikey masking job. It doesn't need to be perfect, and it doesn't need to go any further than that. I was going to paint the full thing, but then I remembered that the window actually covers it. So this is the only section down here that the window doesn't cover. So as long as they're black, they don't need to be smooth. I'm not fussed. I mean, they're still covered in stuff. I can maybe get a bit more off, but that'll do for now. Get them black. I might eventually change that design, or just buy an actual genuine polycarb window that they make from this buyer, but I made that myself. That's why it's not amazing, but it does the job. So I'm gonna get some black paint on this now. That'll do. So I've painted this bit black. As you see, the line isn't very good. I'm gonna have to fix that in a minute.
Absolutely shit.
It is absolutely shit, you're right. It looks appalling. I'm gonna fix it in a minute. We've now masked off the back window. So we've got all them done. So we're gonna get the rest masked off, and then we'll start painting. So I've got them all masked up now, and we're ready to paint the surrounds. So I'm going to give them a quick scotch up with some Scotch Brite. I think I am going to primer them just because they're going to be on the exterior and I just want them to look as good as possible. I'm going to prime them and get some matte black on them. So they've now got some primer on, put 2 coats on, left it to dry. Now I want to get some matte black on them. So the camera died halfway through that, so I don't know how much you saw, but obviously I've just painted them black, simple as that. They're dry now, gonna unmask them. So they're all unmasked now. The masking could have gone a bit better, I'll admit. There are a few areas where it's gone slightly under the masking, so it wasn't completely tight. That's down to the shit masking tape that I use rather than my masking ability. So, not the end of the world, because I think I'm going to redo the rear window at some point anyway. I'm going to try clean it up a bit, but I'll show you these in a minute. These ones came out mint because I used the good masking tape, but on this one, I used some rubbish masking tape, which is like peeled up very slightly. Oh my god, it looks well bad on here, but yeah. Let's just forget about it. I'm going to try cleaning them up a bit. I'll clean the edges up a bit. It's only the top section and this corner here where it's peeled up, but it is what it is. We live and learn. I've just used rubbish masking tape, proper cheap stuff, because I ran out of the good stuff, but yeah. So, the next thing to do is put the sliders in the front windows. I'm trying to find out the best place to position these basically, and then once I do find a good place, all I do then is I drill these holes, 6 holes, 3 in each, get these installed, mark out where I need to do my cut mark for the sliding section and cut it, and that's it, simple as that. So I'm just going to find some pictures now online and like on Instagram and see like the best positioning for them. I don't think that it matters too much because it's not like I'm going to get airflow coming through, and it's not like I can't put my head further forwards and stick my hand out. Do you know what I mean? They're just, all they are is just so I've actually got some way of putting my hand through and talking. In the future, I do want to put those air vents in the rear and then run a tube, so I've got an actual cold air feed to cool me down when it's too warm, because this obviously isn't going to scoop any air in because it's flat and it's a tiny little box. But going to do some searching now, find the best position, and then I'm going to start fitting these. So I've had a look at some pictures and it seems like this is probably about the best position. The trim comes to around there, and obviously the top of the window's there. I'm going to try and maintain an equal distance between there and, don't know, yeah, I'll just replicate that the same with the other one. But I'm going to find a nice even position now. I'm going to drill some holes. So I've done some measuring, I've marked out my points of where I need to drill. Going to drill the bottom ones, get them mounted in, and then I'm going to make sure that the top is all nice and snug and this moves freely before I drill the top one. So I've just realised that the slider kit doesn't actually come with any nuts, so I'm going to have to go buy some M4 nuts tomorrow. So I am not going to be drilling this tonight. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow, get the bolts for that, get some help to put the windows in, so we get all the windows fitted tomorrow, make them front door cards. So it's another day now, and it's an absolutely horrendous day to be wearing work trousers because it is about 30 degrees today. It is red hot, proper humid in this unit as well. I'm just sweating, it's just awful. But we're going to continue where we left off, which is getting all the windows in. So I've got some nuts now and some longer bolts in case I need them to do the sliders for the front windows. But what we're going to crack on first with is the rear windows. We're going to Sikaflex them in and then pop rivet them as well. So I'm going to make a start on that now. On the back of that black seal that I painted, you see the white line where the primer is underneath. I'm going to run some Sikaflex all the way around there, and then by myself somehow I'm going to have to position it perfectly, get it on like that, and then not move it before I start pop riveting and drilling. I don't know how many pop rivets I'm going to do, but because I'm by myself, the initial problem is getting it on nicely with the Sikaflex. So I'm going to try all that now and we'll time lapse it. Sikaflex, now never used it before, but come across it on eBay and the seller described it as like Tiger Seal but better. And if it's better than Tiger Seal, that's bang on, because Tiger Seal's fucking mint, so that should be strong enough. So we're going to get a bead around the windows and then we're going to try and put it in without fucking up. Yeah, let's do it. I'm like the king of tripod angles. Right, now let's get it on the car. That actually worked out alright, so now I'm going to time lapse pop riveting. Right, we're pausing here because I've run into a problem. So basically, I've never used these pop rivets before and I didn't really know how they work. My dad had a little set that I took out the garage. And in there, the pop rivets that I wanted to use, because they were like the biggest ones that I could get, which still, I don't think are that big. Anyway, they're the biggest ones that I could find. And the thing is that they're not long enough. So for the sides, they're all right because I am literally bang on the metal behind it. But here, like, the curvature isn't the same of the metal, so the metal like angle isn't the same, which means I'm not getting a flat surface up against it, which means that the pop rivets aren't going through the hole enough. Well, they're going through the polycarbonate, but they're not going through the metal enough to then clamp it tight. So what I have just done is I've just placed an order with Screwfix for a big set of pop rivets, and I'm going to go pick them up now, and hopefully they'll have longer ones which will allow me to do all this safely, because I really do not fancy the windows falling out. So I'm going to go to Screwfix now, pick them up. There we are then, big old pack of rivets. Let's get back to the unit. Right, so to compare what I've got, the one on the right is what I've been using. That's the only ones that I had before, and that's what I used, and obviously they weren't long enough. Now the middle one is the exact same size as the one on the right, but longer, but because I've had to drill those ones out, this is like not big enough. So I'm going to use these for all the top sections, and I've just done a little test. Push it through there. I hope you can see. There, it's clear that it comes through the other side. Get a nice good connection on that, get it all nice and tight. Put all these in. So I've gone ahead and got all the rear now bolted up, well, pop riveted up. Used them bigger ones for the bottom. There's not as many in the bottom as there is in the side, but it's all solid. It's all sealed all the way up the edges as well, around the top. So it's not the prettiest thing ever, but it's functional. So I'm going to move on to the sides now, get them done. So there we are, got my side windows, my rear window, all bolted in, sealed up. Look pretty good. The back one looks a bit bodged, but like I said, it's function over form. So I've got one of the front windows completely done, you'll see behind me there. And I decided not to film it, I decided to just get it done, master the technique, make my little fails and, you know, trial and error bits off camera. And then I'm going to time lapse doing the rest of it. So I'll show you it now. So I've ended up pop riveting it all in as well. Done all up there, it's nice and solid. Sealed it down the bottom as well to make sure that no water's going to drip in. Slider's a bit stiff at the ends. Okay, very stiff at the ends. It's really weird, the slider like goes stiff and then not, but I've got a bit of adjustment. I can make those holes slightly bigger and then tighten them up again, so I'm not too fussed. Obviously the window's curved slightly as well, so it's going to affect how it moves, but that's just due to me pop riveting these in, so that was bound to happen. But yeah, slider works. So that's one of the fronts done. Now we're going to get the other one done. It's got my square cut. I'm going to take it all back off, cut the hole. So that's the slider installed now. Opens, closes. Needs to be a bit stiffer, but I can adjust that. But for now, let's just get it in the car. So that's the front window pop riveted in. It's all tight now. Just need to get some sealant across the bottom there, and that's going to protect it from water in case it rains. So we're all sealed up now, and it's not amazing. It's not beautiful by any means, but it's functional, and that's all that matters. As long as this doesn't leak, and also the Sikaflex is going to add some strength to it, should stop any flexing from the bottom. Could do it on the inside, but what's the point? So once again, everything just takes way longer than expected. I did think I was going to have the door cards and the polycarb windows fitted tonight, but I haven't, and I've run out of time. So I'm going to have to get the door cards done tomorrow, get all the interior back in tomorrow, and then we'll move on to the exterior. So last night we got all the windows refitted, and that's all done. So the only thing left to do before we can put the seats and the interior back together is to make the front door cards. So initially I thought, oh, I'm going to have to make a template for them out of cardboard and then cut it to shape and this, that, the other. And then I remembered that I can just use the original door cards. So I've measured them up and they seem to sit pretty much how I want them. So on the side it leaves a gap. You can pretty much see where they sit, but that gives me a good template, and even if they are a bit higher, I'll just cut them down. I've already cable tied all these bits away that are in the door cards that aren't needed, all these wires and that. This is just the release cable, that's all we do actually need for the door cards, and a pull, but I'm going to put all those in afterwards. So I'm going to put this door card on the aluminium sheet in a minute and then draw around it, get a measurement, cut it out and that. So you'll see that I've cut my first shape out, but it's obviously too high, but that was expected anyway because the standard door card sits right up here, so I knew it was going to need chopping down. So I'm going to take some more measurements and just keep refining it, and I'll show you the finished product. I always say that I'll just show you when it's finished, but I kind of like to show when I do something decent. So it were obviously too big. We measured the corners and I basically just looked at where it like started to loop round. Drew a line, guessed it, got it right. Did the other side, so now I've just drawn a line to connect them both. I'm going to jigsaw that off and then we'll just refine it with the floppy disc, get it all looking nice and neat. Right, so this is the final shape that we've come up with. Just going to show you how it sits before I make the next one. Yeah, sits nice, it's all nice and done. I'm just going to refine it, just going to get these edges also, they're not sharp and stuff. Just going to go around it with a floppy disc. Then I'll draw this onto the next bit of aluminium and then we'll just replicate the full shape. That's the second panel cut out now, and I'm just going to show you some of the bits I need to do before I can actually get it fitted. So there's this little mount here that they're just spot welded on. So I just need to drill these out and grind them off, and then these bits at the bottom need taking out because this is where it sits and it won't sit flush otherwise. Cable tied all this up, I've done a little bit of modification. I've just took a grinder to there just so that tucks in there. I could have unwired it all, but it'd just be a nightmare. That's easier, you know, efficiency. Yeah, so that's it. So I'm just going to take them out, grind that off. We can test it and we can start mocking up for where the handle's going to go and the pull. Yeah. So I've decided that once again the best way to do this was to completely do one, learn from my mistakes and basically take my time and figure out what I'm doing, show you it, and then I'm going to do the next one. So this is what I've done, and that's one completed. So this is the passenger side one, completely done, and quite pleased with it. There's one thing that I'm going to change when I do it, and that's the slackness of this, because I'd rather this not be so slack. But I can still actually adjust that, and that's just due to how big that hole is. Obviously this one's quite nice and big, so I just need to Dremel this hole out bigger, and that shouldn't be a problem. But I'm not going to bother with that yet. I'm going to get the other one done. I just took my time with the first one and went through it step by step, just figuring it out, making like little mistakes here and there, learning from them. And now I'm going to show you my time lapse and get this next one perfect. I've got that fed through the 2 holes, this through there, and I really do not have much room at all to weld that to the body of the car. I mean, obviously I can pull it back a bit and feed that through a bit more. This can be really awkward. I'm gonna get it on the tripod, see what happens. Just remember before I started welding that I need to put my sponge tape all the way around the back. It's a very good job I remembered that, otherwise I've been fucked. Ah, fuck! Ah, my hand got burnt through the glove I was holding onto it. Right, let's get mask on. Oh, I can't see a thing. Didn't have my fucking mask down, what a bellend. Right, so that's welded. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to start bolting it all on. So now the door card's just held in place with the sponge tape. That sponge tape, if I hadn't already explained it, is just basically to stop any vibrations from the door card. Now, all there is left to do is pop rivet it. These top ones are a nightmare, so I'll just show you once I've got them done. So that's 2 custom door cards made, and they took absolutely hours longer than I anticipated, but they work and we got there in the end. So that's it. That's them done. Oh, I'm knackered. It's 1:30 in the morning. That door card's done, and I said to myself, I said I'm getting this interior finished tonight, so the only last things to do now are just throw the seats in, throw the harnesses in, and I'm done. But I'm not going to bother filming it. I might time lapse a bit of it, but I just want it done now. I want to go home and end this. But I'm going to crack on, get the rest of it together. So it's 3:30. I'm absolutely shattered. Didn't bother filming any of that. I just wanted to crack on and get it done. I've got the seats in, and I had to do a bit of modifying on my brackets. I had to move them over slightly, which is why it took me so much time. But they're in. Started putting one harness in. I'm going to do the other one. Mainly just because of the strap that runs into the exhaust tunnel down there. I need 2 people because I need someone under the car holding the spanner. And I'm going to be under the car tomorrow anyway doing the exhaust. So that's fine. Seats are in. Interior pretty much done. There's a few little tiny bits now left to do, like wiring that interior light, wiring my boost gauge in. Like a few bits, but pretty much the whole interior is now there. Can now happily shut the door. Everything works as it should, and no, I'm pleased with it. I'm well pleased with it. This looks fucking cool, doesn't it? Huh. In terms of seating position, I'm happy with the passenger seat, but I think my seat might need to be moved. But I'm thinking about getting just mine on a slider anyway, just in case, like, if I don't want to drive, or if someone else is driving, or I don't know, just so it's like accessible for like more people than just me. But for now they're just solid mounted, and yeah, that's it. So I've completed everything I planned to do in this video, so that's the end. Cheers for watching. I'll see you in the next